But what they've now realised is that they have really no idea of how to govern in any sort of meaningful way, or a project to govern, because that's been systematically destroyed because of the way they orientate themselves towards power. And what they've had to do now, they've made a very explicit decision that their own thinking is that they will only win the next election if they can convince the public that it is a straight choice between Farage and the Labour Party. Right, which I think is fundamentally flawed. It's going to fail in all sorts of respects because, in lots of seats around the country, like in London, reform is not present. The challenges at the left, it's the Greens. That's not going to be a calculation. It'll play criminally, right? This is not a viable strategy. But what it relies on, actually, is you can only make that a threat if you make Farage a candidate. You can only make that the binary decision if you actually facilitate Farage. If you turn him into the character you have to beat that's why at the last Labour, conference, who's Keir Starmer speaking about on stage? It's not the leader of the opposition, it's not Kenny Badenoch. It's Nigel Farage who has 4 MPs. And maybe he's polling very well and that sort of stuff, they have lots of money and the wind is behind them. But fundamentally, they need Farage for this project to succeed. And it's going to be this incredibly disheartening process if they actually follow through like they always have, where they're going to build up Farage, and at the same time, they're going to acknowledge that he's right on everything. They're going to say, Farage is a terrible threat, but do you know he's right on the votes? Farage is a terrible threat, but maybe he's right that we actually need to curtail protest. And I think that's going to fundamentally fail.